Jose Mourinho is reportedly on his way back to Real Madrid, and the timing could not feel more dangerous. Madrid are in crisis, the locker room is being hit by rivalry rumours, and Mourinho has never been the kind of manager who watches drama quietly from the bench. He names sides, he tests egos, he protects favourites and freezes out problems. So if the special one really returns, these are the players who will be most affected. First, the winners. 6. Thibaut Courtois. Courtois is a winner because Mourinho already made the hard call for him once. Back at Chelsea, Mourinho chose the young Courtois over Petr Cech, even though Cech was a club legend. That was not a small decision. It showed Mourinho trusted Courtois before everyone was comfortable admitting the change had arrived. And this season, you can argue he has been one of the few Madrid players still playing at the required level. In La Liga, he has 11 clean sheets with 58 saves and no errors leading to goals. That is why his injury changed the feeling around Madrid. Some even said that the Bayern tie could have been different with Courtois available. Would he save every Bayern goal? We'll never know, but would Madrid feel safer with him behind a Mourinho bus? Absolutely. 5. Dean Huijsen. Huijsen is also a winner because Mourinho already has a connection with him. Before Madrid, Huijsen had that Roma chapter, and Mourinho was part of his early senior education. When Mourinho walks into a crisis dressing room, he usually trusts players he already understands, not just big names, players he knows can listen, suffer and follow orders. Madrid also did not sign Huijsen as a random depth piece. They bought him from Bournemouth on a 5-year deal through 2030 after his breakout Premier League season. Reuters reported he made 34 appearances and scored 3 goals for Bournemouth, which is serious experience for a young centre-back. He has had his hiccups in this Madrid debut season, which is normal for a young centre-back being thrown straight into chaos, but he has not folded. 2 goals, 2 assists, while also recording 15 interceptions and 126 La Liga clearances this season. Now think about Mourinho's likely style. More compact, more direct, less chaos behind the ball. That helps Huijsen because he is tall, calm and useful in both boxes. If Mourinho wants Madrid to defend with more structure, Huijsen suddenly looks less like the young defender and more like a project Mourinho can claim early. 4. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent is a winner, but only if he accepts the Mourinho bargain. Madrid signed him on a 6-year deal after paying Liverpool early so he could join before the Club World Cup. So Mourinho would not be inheriting a normal right-back. He would be inheriting one of football's best long passers, and Mourinho has already praised him before. When talking about Liverpool's fullbacks, he called Trent an amazing player with amazing character and personality. This season, Trent has 4 assists in 906 La Liga minutes. Not dominant yet, but enough to show the weapon is there. Now picture Mourinho's Madrid. Less slow passing, more compact defending, then one early ball into space. That is Trent's whole gift. If Mbappe or Vinicius runs behind, Trent can find them before the defense resets. If Jude arrives late, Trent can hit the switch that starts the attack. The warning is defense. Mourinho will not protect lazy tracking, but if Trent buys in, he could become Mourinho's counter-attack trigger.
Football's more than a game. It's passion, pride, glory. This World Cup season, Goal90 brings you our biggest offer yet. Buy 3 jerseys and get 1 free. That's 4 jerseys for the price of 3. And yes, free worldwide shipping. This is a limited time World Cup special only until April the 30th. So move fast. Pick your jerseys. Wear your passion. Own the moment before they're gone. Visit Goal90 shop. Link in the description.
3. Tchouaméni, Camavinga and Valverde. This is where Mourinho could change Madrid fast, because his best teams almost always had a midfield with muscle, legs and obedience, not just passers. Players who closed space, won duels, killed counters and let the stars ahead of them play with freedom. At Chelsea he had Makelele, Essien and later Matic. At Inter he had Cambiasso, Motta and Stankovic. At Madrid, he trusted Khedira next to Xabi Alonso because Khedira did the running that made the system breathe. That is why Tchouaméni, Camavinga and Valverde could all be winners. Tchouaméni gives Mourinho the anchor, the player who sits, protects the centre-backs and makes Madrid harder to play through. Valverde gives him the engine, the runner who can press, recover, carry the ball and still arrive in attack. And Camavinga is the redemption story. Yes, he has struggled. His form has been questioned and this season has not always looked clean, but Mourinho might actually help him by simplifying the job. Win the duel, break the line, cover the left side, stop guessing. Under Mourinho, Madrid's midfield would not be about looking pretty, it would be about giving the team its spine back. 2. Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe is probably a surprise winner, but let me explain. People think Mourinho means every attacker has to defend like a fullback. That is not quite right. The real pattern is harsher. Mourinho will protect one special attacker's freedom, but only if that player gives him damage going the other way. At Madrid, that was Cristiano. At Roma, Dybala had that kind of attacking value when fit. At his Chelsea, Drogba was the reference point, the same with Diego Milito at Inter. And Mourinho clearly rates him. He called Mbappe the most valuable player in the world, praising his age, quality and World Cup impact. That is why this could work. Mourinho would ask Madrid to defend tighter, let the midfield absorb more of the ugly work, then release Mbappe earlier into space. Less clutter, more punishment, that is exactly where Mbappe becomes terrifying. Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham is the easiest winner here because Mourinho already sounds like he gets him. And not in a fake polite way. Mourinho has praised Jude's personality before. He talked about him as an English player who left the comfort of home, grew abroad and became what he called a kid of the world. Now look at the football fit. Mourinho's Madrid would probably not be a slow possession-heavy team. It would be more selective with the press, more compact without the ball and much quicker once space opens. That suits Jude perfectly. He is not just a neat midfielder asking for touches. He can win contact, drive through midfield, arrive late in the box and turn a counter-attack into a real chance. So while Mbappe gives Mourinho the finishing threat, Jude gives him the force behind it. Now, let's move on to the losers. First loser, Antonio Rudiger. Rudiger is a potential loser, but not a hopeless one. On paper, Mourinho should like him. He is loud, aggressive, physical and built for ugly games. That sounds like a Mourinho defender. But there is past tension. When Mourinho was at Tottenham, Son Heung-min was sent off against Chelsea after a clash with Rudiger. Mourinho came after Rudiger. He mocked the reaction and joked that Rudiger must have broken ribs. That does not mean Mourinho hates him, but it does tell you something. Mourinho remembers players through conflict. If he thinks someone is too theatrical, too emotional, or too hard to control, he does not usually keep that private. Rudiger can still win this battle because Mourinho likes warriors. Let's see how it plays out. Second loser, Dani Carvajal. Back in 2012, Mourinho did not count on him, so Carvajal went to Bayer Leverkusen. Years later, Carvajal called Mourinho a bit opportunistic, saying Mourinho would claim the loan helped him if it worked, but would have said he was not Madrid level if it failed. That is not fan theory. That is Carvajal himself. Now the timing is even worse. Carvajal is no longer the young right-back trying to prove Mourinho wrong. He is the veteran captain trying to prove his body can still hold up after a brutal knee injury. And since returning, the role has not looked secure. So Mourinho may not even need to freeze him out. Madrid might make the decision first. His renewal has been pushed back, his contract expires in June 2026, and reports are saying that the club has postponed clarity on his future. By the time Mourinho arrives, Carvajal might not even be there. Third loser, Vinicius Jr. Vinicius is the biggest loser because this already feels personal. His speed in transition could be deadly for Mourinho, but the tension is already there. After the Benfica incident, where Vinicius reported discriminatory abuse and the match was halted, Mourinho still criticised his celebration and suggested these flashpoints seem to follow him from state. Vinny's job gets harder, not easier. Someone still has to track back, someone still has to close the fullback, someone still has to keep the left side balanced. Mourinho has done this before with Eden Hazard. He admired Hazard's talent at Chelsea, but after the Atletico Madrid loss, he still said Hazard was not ready to sacrifice himself 100% for the team. Talent did not protect Hazard once Mourinho felt the defensive work was missing. That is the danger for Vinny. He might fit Mourinho's counter-attack, but he may not fit Mourinho's patience. If Mourinho returns, Madrid will not just get a new coach. They get noise, pressure, and a manager who never stays quiet. Some players could rise fast, others could feel the heat immediately. Like, subscribe, and watch the next video. See you there.